For Gooners everywhere, this is the ultimate football app for you. For match highlights, interviews and the best Arsenal videos and podcasts. Download the free Gunners app now from the App Store and Google Play.
Good evening. Welcome to another Pots preview of the Same Old Arsenal podcast. A little bit of a strange situation because we still do not know what is happening with these fixtures. We do not know if we're going ahead at the weekend. But so far, I believe, from what we're told, unless things change dramatically over the next couple of hours or the next days, we are going to be going to Brighton at the weekend. So let's hope we do that. Wednesday night didn't happen. We did do a Man City preview, but that is now going to be rescheduled. So we are here to talk about Arsenal Brighton now. And joining me is two absolute legendary Gooners, two great friends of mine that, to be fair, I've probably known for a good 10 years now, but we have never been on a podcast together. So I thought tonight has to be the night. One of them you do know very well. He's been on with me a few times and also represents and guests on the Guns and Yellow Ribbons podcast. It is Mr. Corey Clark. Corey, how are you, man?
I'm good, Dan. How are you?
Yeah, very well, mate. Just that this coronavirus is getting a bit silly now, isn't it? Like, we want to actually make sure that we can get the old football situation sorted, you know? Hopefully it don't affect it too much.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, it is getting a bit crazy. I was watching the Champions League games last night and I saw the PSG stadium was, completely empty. Which is a shame because I thought a team like Borussia Dortmund, they get a lot from their fans. They're like a 12th man. So to not have them in the stadium probably, really cost them in that match. So we don't want that happening with us.
Yeah, man. Let's hope it don't ruin it too much, hey. And my last guest tonight is a debut for the Same Old Arsenal, but he's going to be an absolute pro. This guy's got some unbelievably good opinions on Arsenal. It is Ash. Ash, how are you, mate?
Hey. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? I look like I'm in quarantine.
You're all good. You're all well, though, yeah? Don't say that.
Yeah, no, I am. No, 100%. I'm all good. So yeah, I'm Ash from the Beer Rap and Banter / Play On podcast. If you haven't subscribed to us, and yeah, looking forward to speaking to you guys today, man.
Yeah, man, we'll definitely go and make sure that you subscribe to Ash because his podcast is top draw. We'll do a little bit at the end to promote that, Ash, as well, 100%, mate. Boys, this is getting to the stage where we hope it's going to be happening at the weekend, but we are going to keep it to football and keep the politics out of it. So, Ash, I'll start with you, man. Brighton away, that for me, that's not an easy game, man. They're a side who seem to set up well. Graham Potter, I believe, has done very well at Brighton. They're not a team that come and play technical football, but they're a team that just somehow know how to get results. So what have you made of their season and their manager so far, if we start with Brighton?
So they had probably the most surprising result of the season on the first day when they beat Watford 3-0. So they went away and they absolutely battered Watford, gave them some good stuff. Potter was at Swansea last season and he tends to play like a pretty attacking brand of football. So the three centre-backs pushes the wing-backs up quite high and then he has like a central striker with two players playing off of him. He's actually changed his tactics recently. So he's kind of more gone into a 4-2-3-1 and tried to kind of settle in with them. And actually their results changed because they were really good at the start of the season and then they've kind of got themselves into a dip that's pulled them back into the relegation dogfight. They actually came to the Emirates and kind of gave us some problems. So do you remember that was at night? I think it was the first game on Amazon TV. Yeah, they kind of came and I think Mope got the winner.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we weren't at it, and I think we've been there a couple of times where we haven't actually been at it recently against them. At home, we normally would see them through, but then last season we drew 1-1, and that kind of cost us the Champions League. And then obviously we had the 2-1, so they've been a bit of a sticky side for us. And I'm actually going into this game thinking to myself, I'm not too sure. Yeah, it was a good result against West Ham. Obviously, the City game got cancelled. But they're a team that could be really sticky, considering that they're fighting for their lives. Like right now, we're getting to that point where a lot of the teams that are down there have to do well and they have to pick up points. And their home games become even more important. So us going there, we become a real scalp for them, considering that they need points and they need points urgently.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm with you. I think it'll be a tough fixture as well. Corey, what have you made of Brighton? Because it's a manager that I suppose we got a little bit of a glimpse of when we played Ostersunds a couple of seasons ago, and he made himself kind of a name for himself over there. Come to English football, I think he's been good. What do you make of Graham Potter and Brighton, Corey?
Yeah, I think like Ash said, they started off well. I like the type of football they were playing, but of late, their form has dropped off a bit. They're a hard team to beat, but they don't win a lot either. So I watched their game against Crystal Palace, and to be honest, with better finishing, they could have beat Palace. But but in the final third, they weren't great. They was falling apart time and time again. And then Crystal Palace nicked it. With us, I still don't know. I still can't say that whether we're good away from home or not. The results have got better, but in terms of our performances, we still haven't played any sort of scintillating football yet. So I still feel like anyone can beat us. Do you know what I mean? It's like you just don't know what's going to happen. So, and Brighton's definitely one of those teams that can pull a result out of the bag. So, we should beat them, but I'm not confident in it.
Listen, I'm never confident at the moment. The way we're playing, jeez, it's tough, isn't it, man? Tough anywhere we go. Ash, who are the danger men then? Because obviously Arteta's kind of made us harder to beat, but there is some weaknesses that are clear for everyone to see. So who is the danger men, do you think, from Brighton's point of view?
So it's a difficult one. So I looked at Brighton's team, and obviously they've got Mupai who plays up front. Like, he's scored a lot of goals. Glenn Murray actually came back in for a game recently, and obviously he's got like a decent record in terms of big games. Trossard is a winger who, like, I used to play on the wing, so I tend to always look out for wingers.
Here we go. Listen,
so
listen. I knew this was happening tonight. My name's Ashley Horsford, and I was a Robert Pires winger. Yeah.
Hey, listen. I'm glad you called me Pires. I didn't call myself Pires. No, but to be honest, he kind of plays that. He can go both ways. He's right-footed. He plays on the left-hand side. And actually, whenever he's played, he's been like kind of their creative spark. They've also got Aaron Moy and they've got Pascal Gross, two really technically gifted players. They're not like they don't have much energy. They're not like legs. They're not gonna like sprint past you. But give them the ball in like kind of like small spaces. They can play like those little cute passes. And actually, the biggest issue that I have with Arsenal at the moment is still our central midfield. Like, I know Xhaka is in there, and I think since the incident, he's kind of come back, kept his head down, and done pretty well. But I still kind of find that sometimes in that little area, that pocket just in front of the back four, the players are still kind of getting in there, and they're actually starting to kind of dictate. And that's where some of our problems are kind of coming. So if we start getting kind of like your Moy, Trossard, and kind of Gross in that area, they're gonna cause us some problems.
Corey, do you think there's any other players Brighton have got that you think maybe we got to watch out for? I think Ash has pretty much hit the main ones there.
Yeah, no one else really. I mean, even those guys, I would struggle to name. To be honest with you, like, no one at Brighton really sort of stands out to me. It's just, so if somebody pops up and does something, I'm sort of, it's not like I ever thought to myself, oh, I saw that coming. You never know who it's going to be. Like, Mupai started well, but yeah, I don't see any sort of individuals standing out. It's just there's a sort of a well-drilled team that plays a collective.
No, fair one. Good evening, Lee. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Top draw. I'm hoping that the game is on for you to watch, Lee, as we all are. Is it clear to say that one kind of position or a kind of unit, I suppose, or partnership that Brighton have got is centre-backs with Lewis Dunk and Shane Duffy? Because I believe that if you were to even put them two in the Arsenal lineup, already you would see a difference. Ash?
To be fair, Duffy's not been playing that much this year. It's been
that's right.
It's been like Webster.
That's it.
Yeah, they'll throw a couple of people in there. I think. I don't know if I'd ever say go and get Dunk, but if he turned up at my club, I wouldn't be scared to put him in the starting lineup. Like, he's a good leader. He's on free kicks as well, which was really surprising for me. Like, he takes quite a few of the free kicks. He even scored one against Liverpool at Anfield. So yeah, he's a good leader, good pro. Technically, technically he's good. I would never go think, okay, he's the centre back that we need, who's gonna kind of like push us to the next level. But yeah, he's decent. He's decent. Their keeper's really good as well, Matt Ryan. Like, he's a really, really solid like pro keeper, and I think kind of getting past him is always a bit of a challenge as well. So yeah.
One kind of link that us three have is fantasy football, yeah. And every season, his points total, Ryan, the amount of saves he makes, he's always up there. And Brighton don't keep loads of clean sheets, do they? But they he always is up there because of the amount of saves he makes. And I think that says a lot about his actual ability as a goalkeeper. So yeah, 100% agree with you there, to be fair. Corey, if you could pick one Brighton player to walk straight into the Arsenal side, who would you go for and why?
Straight in.
Yeah, man. Or would you not? Would you not? Do you not think they're good enough?
Nah, to be honest with you, I wouldn't take any. Not to walk straight into the side. I don't see any of their players displacing any of our players. To be honest with you, like you said, you mentioned Dunk, you mentioned Ryan, solid players. But to displace what we've already got, I don't think there'd be that much of a difference. So no, I wouldn't take any of their players, to be honest.
Ash, would you?
I think the only one who could, I think Dunk has a chance, just because we've had a lot of changes at centre back this season. So I think if you put Dunk next to say David Luiz, who I think is our first choice centre back, I think there's an argument. This Maori guy played well. Obviously, he got a clean sheet in his first real game. Socrates, I'm not a big fan of him. And actually, Holding's not really ready at the moment. So I think Dunk is the only one who could maybe have a real argument for getting into our team.
Man, you missed out our best defender, Mustafi.
Okay. Hold on. To be fair, like, again, not over him, but I think maybe like one of Gross or Moy could be in the conversation, like just to maybe kind of come in somewhere if he was short. But yeah, I can't think of it. Mustafi, can we speak about him later?
Because... Yeah, we'll come back to that, man. Trust me.
We're gonna have
to. Mate, I would agree with Ash. I think Dunk's the only option, really. I don't believe going forward there's anybody that I would be putting in the Arsenal side. But listen, they've got some great players. I'm not underestimating them. But I think if I was to line an 11 up, there would only be Lewis Dunk getting into that side. Let's move on to Arsenal because we've spoken about Brighton enough. I've got to ask both of you this question, right? Because last night, I'm sure that you guys watched the game, the Atletico Madrid-Liverpool game, okay? Now, my first choice after Arsene Wenger went was Diego Simeone, okay, as the Arsenal manager, because I thought that we would win ugly. He does it season after season. He would sort us out defensively as a unit, and we'd have a chance to be potentially start off as the same old boring Arsenal of the 1-0 George Graham days, right? So I thought that personally is what we needed. Proven again last night that the guy is an absolute tactician. There was tactical masterclass. The 2 or 3 chances they had, they scored every single time and dumped them out of the competition, which is what they did to us a couple of years ago. Now, somebody had the argument with me today that this is what Arteta is starting to show at Arsenal. And I don't think that we're doing that. I think we have been very lucky that we haven't lost some of the games that we've won, particularly West Ham at the weekend. If Antonio was Sergio Aguero on Wednesday night, we would have been 3-0 down. So I'll come to you, Corey. What do you think of this Arsenal style, philosophy, what we're seeing at the moment? Is it a little bit lucky, or are we improving and happy to be kind of taking 3 points, so to speak?
Yeah, I haven't seen any like real attractive style of play football. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, it's not like he hasn't sort of come in and we've set the world on fire. I haven't seen any massive improvement in our attacking play. I think that's what he wants. I think that's what he wants to implement. I'm not sure if it's the players that he doesn't have, or maybe he's still figuring things out himself. But no, I just think that the confidence has been lifted. Players more know what's expected of them on the pitch, and so everyone's kind of doing their job, but nobody's really gone above and beyond. Nobody's really like excelled or anything since Arteta's come in. He's just brought them up to a level that's acceptable for me.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So,
And you know what? I don't know why we're trying to kind of stick up for or trying to compare even Simeone to Arteta at this stage, because Simeone's been doing this for years in the biggest competitions and in a really good league in La Liga. So I've heard some comparisons that, oh yeah, Arteta's trying to get us to this Simeone style. I don't see a style still personally. I still think that the team is a little bit dead and Arteta needs a couple of seasons. Ash, what would you say to those comments, mate?
so starting with Simeone, he's never was a manager I wanted. I understand the points behind him, but he kind of strikes me a little bit in the kind of Jose Mourinho kind of bag, in the sense of, yeah, he'll maybe win stuff. It would be ugly, but I prefer my football to look a different way. Um, when we were available, it's weird because I didn't really think of any of the candidates who that were out there I really liked. Allegri, I kind of thought of because I think he plays a slightly more expansive style, but actually, could he translate that over to come over to here and do well? The manager I've always been interested in personally is Tuchel. Like, I've really liked him, and I actually think that if we had waited a bit longer and had Emery to the end of the season and he left PSG this year, I thought he would have been a really good fit for us. It's a bit of a dream, a bit of a fantasy, but I think that would have been good. In terms of like Arteta when he kind of came in, so I've probably been, I don't want to say I've been a harsh critic of Arteta, but I haven't seen maybe the sense of optimism that's been there in the club. I haven't completely bought into it. I am an actual cynic, and I probably am someone who kind of will bring things down. But what I have seen is, yeah, we look harder to beat. We look like we have kind of like a tactical plan when we don't have the ball. But I'm not really seeing much about what we do when we do have the ball yet. And I think that's almost like the next stage of it. So the first thing he wanted to do was stop us being really loose and easy to kind of attack. At the start of the season, we were the team who had the most shots at us. Um, and that's why I think actually Leno has probably been arguably our best player this season, because he's had so much work to do. That work has kind of come down slightly. But like you said, in the West Ham game, if Antonio had his shooting boots on, we get beat. There's a couple of games that have been really knife edge that if players had their shooting boots on, we would have lost. I think the next stage for him is to kind of like really stamp his identity on what he wants to do. And I think a big area that he needs to work on is exactly what he's going to do out wide. He's been under Pep, and anyone who knows Pep, a lot of their work is done out wide in terms of like staying out wide, switching, stretching the game. We've got Pepe, we've got Aubameyang there. Like, obviously, Aubameyang's our best centre forward. I still don't understand why he plays left wing. Like,
Same,
I will
man.
never
Same.
understand why he plays left wing, especially when we've had Martinelli in that role do really well. It would have made perfect sense to have Martinelli on one side, Aubameyang in the middle, and Pepe off of the right. That it would make perfect sense. But for some weird reason, Nketiah is getting a run. Scored an amazing goal against Everton. Seemed to be pretty sharp, but it still would make a lot more sense for me to kind of have that. And I think he's still kind of like testing out exactly what he wants from the team and what he wants to kind of see. So there's an element where I don't think we're really going to see the benefits of Arteta until next season. He needs a preseason. He needs a bit of time. He needs to bring some players in. So I've kind of almost written this season off. Anything we get is a bonus. And I just think he's just doing the basics at the moment. And I think next year we'll really start to see a style come into play.
Man, it's wise words, man, because I've been saying very similar over the last couple of weeks. Corey, I'm going to put two comments up, man, that kind of interlink, because the first one is, I believe, a little bit harsh from Unknown Driller, which says that he doesn't rate Arteta. The dude was just handing out coffee for Pep Guardiola. No offense, lads. A little bit harsh, maybe. Will the fans give any manager a couple of seasons? With the players that we currently have, immediate results are far near impossible. I know we're going on kind of more about off the Arsenal Brighton topic, but I think it's an important kind of question to ask you guys, really, because I feel like the fans do want instant success, but we have to be realistic. Corey?
Yeah, I mean, because I do want to talk about Arteta, because I think the fans have sort of gone really easy on him because of the circumstances that he came into, because he's never had managerial been in a managerial position before. But at the same time, I've never been a manager either, but I can still question some of the things that he does and his team selections and whatnot, which I feel doesn't get the best out of the players. So like Ash said, Aubameyang on the left, like, what is that about? It was when we knew that we wanted to play Lacazette and Aubameyang and Pepe, we thought, okay, what needs to happen, but not in Nketiah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, if you're gonna put Aubameyang out of position, you shouldn't be for Nketiah. It should be for on fire Lacazette. You know, if that's what it requires, but not an Nketiah, not an out of form Lacazette. Maitland-Niles, like what's going on there? You know, he spoke a bit about, you know, him working hard in training, but it's like, well, you know, do you want him to do it in training, or do you want him to do it, you know, on the pitch?
Well, this is the thing. Lee's asked about Maitland-Niles. I saw it earlier, his career. I was going to bring it in later, but as soon as you brought it up now, that is a worrying one, isn't it? It looks to me like he could not have a future.
Yeah, I mean, he's not talking about any sort of bad, like that they've had a falling out or anything. Nothing's come out. So for us as fans, we're just sort of, if you're not going to say something, then it just looks like bad decision making, you know, a bad selection where you're playing Socrates at right back instead of Maitland-Niles, and he's not even in the squad. And when he was doing so well before, it takes away a lot of our attacking threat on the right. The right side is not the greatest at the moment anyway. You know, the left side is definitely stronger. But for you to put a centre back there, you know, whilst leaving out somebody that played so well, it's like we're gonna question it. And yeah, you're, as a manager, you're gonna have to be in that position to sort of take those questions and accept the criticism when these decisions that you're making don't pan out. So I don't feel like I'm still with him and I'm still backing, but he's not above criticism, and we should call him out on things when it's deserved.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Listen, I've got some. Go on, Nash. Go on.
Sorry, yeah, even on that point, I think, like you said, he's put a centre back who's had a dodgy season as well. It's not like he's absolutely been firing. Like he's kind of really struggled at points this season, and he's playing over Maitland-Niles. I think the issue with Maitland-Niles is he's always wanted to be a central midfielder, and I think he may have voiced that, but he still hasn't shown enough to maybe go into that position. I think it's difficult, and I think sometimes what a manager does is he'll kind of come in and he has to kind of make a stamp, and he has to kind of make a stand. So maybe actually with what Maitland-Niles has done or what he said, he's like, okay, cool. You know what? I'm going to show that this is the level that I expect. So if you're going to do something, it has to be to this level. And maybe he's I wouldn't say a scapegoat, but he's been shown that, okay, this is the bar that I have. And if you don't quite meet that bar, then I can't really keep you in the squad. So I think there's an element of that. I don't think his career's over, but I do think he's going to have to maybe get back into he's going to have to put it in training. He's going to have to like just really work hard and just be like kind of, you have to put him in. Because remember, we've been here with like players like Ozil. We didn't really think he'd ever get like a kick. And I know it was under different management, but you can kind of sometimes get back into it just because of like injuries or stuff like that. So I don't think it's over for him, but he has a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I believe so. And obviously we've seen the same with Guendouzi. So it looks like there is a little bit of ruthlessness about Arteta. But one thing I want to put out there is everybody thought that there'll be a similar style to Pep Guardiola, and maybe Arteta would be a similar manager. Now, I've seen similarities in a manager, but it isn't Pep Guardiola. The similarities that I've seen is Arsene Wenger. And I'll tell you why. So remember a few seasons ago when Arsene Wenger was forcing Aaron Ramsey on the right-hand side, like he's doing to Aubameyang now, right? We've seen that he's sticking with the players that I believe deserve to be out of the side, like the Lacazettes and the Ozils, and even some would argue the Granit Xhakas. He's playing a young striker that Arsene Wenger did with Yaya Sanogo in Eddie Nketiah over Aubameyang, and he's placing Socrates as a right back, which Wenger did sometimes with Mustafi, right? So I'm seeing quite a lot of similarities under Arsene Wenger, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I think with Arteta, what he's done as a player is he's been managed by some great players, by great managers. So he's had the David Moyes, the Arsene Wenger. Obviously, he's learned from Pep Guardiola, but he had early days with Barcelona, PSG, Rangers, those sort of clubs as well. So he's had a lot of experience, and some out in Spain too. So I think that that's all going to help him. But at the moment, if you were to say to me, who is he similar to? I really do see some similarities with Arsene Wenger, and the lack of substitutions is another example. Sometimes of the games, I'm thinking, just make a change. And we're crying out for subs. We're crying out for Martinelli, but he's not bringing on Martinelli. He's bringing on Reece Nelson. There's a lot of frustration that Arsene Wenger is doing similar. Would you agree with that, Ash, or do you think I'm going down the wrong channel there?
No. So I don't know if I can quite call him Arsene Wenger yet. Like he's like 20 more years and kind of not being able to do up his coat. But what I do really want from him though is like his in-game management needs to improve. And I think there's been a couple of times where we saw at the start of his tenure where actually he, like against that Chelsea game, really stuck out. Chelsea made a change at 35 minutes. Jorginho came on and they completely started to boss the game after that. So we needed to react maybe 55, 60 minutes to kind of see that lead out. The one time that I think he did well was Chelsea away. It would have been really easy to bring a centre back on straight away, but he didn't. He kind of waited and kind of kept maybe some of our bigger guns on the pitch to be able to kind of like counter attack and stuff like that. So what I've seen is that it's definitely there. He can be quite reactive in game, but he doesn't seem to do it, especially at home. He takes a long time to make a sub at home. Like away is slightly different, but at home he really does take a long time to make the subs. And I think sometimes that needs to be quicker. And I just think that some of his starting lineups have been awful. Like, I'm sorry, some of his starting lineups have just been absolutely awful that don't make any sense. And I remember there was one game that I think we won. Even the what game did we win 4-0? Newcastle. Like even that game, I was like, we were awful for the first half. That I know it was still that team that done it, but it just didn't. Lots of things just didn't make sense. So I was like, actually, just do this, do that. And like Corey said, every Arsenal fans are like a closet manager. Like we do this. Like we've got our things at home. I've got a whiteboard behind me. I'm sure I've got like Arsenal players on there. But at the same time, it's like if I can see it, you can see it, Dan. Corey can see it. Why can't he? And he's the guy who makes the decisions.
I'm getting a bit worried that in terms of like we said that Martinelli ain't played, Maitland-Niles ain't played, Guendouzi. It's like, how sensitive is this guy? Like, is he that easy to offend that, one little thing and then, he's just dropping the youngsters out of the team to the detriment of us, possibly getting points or getting through to our next round in the competition. That's a little bit worrying for me. They're young players. Sometimes you need to put your arm around them and have a chat with them. It's not all just about discipline, especially when they have been doing well on the pitch. Like Martinelli, he's done so well this season that he's got a right to turn around and say, you know what, piss off, and be forgiven straight after. Like it's, but certain games he's not coming on. He's just stuck on the bench. It's winding me up. Watching Aubameyang cross the ball from the left. It's like, I don't want to see Aubameyang crossing the ball.
Do you know what's even worse, Cause, is the fact that he has been asked to track back playing right or left back. This is what annoys me the most.
And it's like, look, he's 30 years old. Like, because I saw Arteta in an interview saying, oh, well, I wanted to find out if he was willing to do it or he just couldn't do it. But it's like, mate, this guy he's been a killer up front, for how much years now, playing up front. Not on the wing, and now you asking him at 30 years old to adjust his game for what? For who? For Nketiah. So Nketiah can play. Like, come on, like I'm not like who's that don't make no sense. So he's he's got some. He's new. He is new, so we have to remember that. I don't know when your first year in a new job. You're going to make mistakes and whatnot, but I need to see him like learn from these mistakes a bit quicker. That's the same with like the substitutions and whatnot. He needs to learn a bit quicker because it's a big job that he's in.
Yeah, it is a big job. Absolutely, it is. And this is the thing, boys. He is still learning, isn't he? He's a young coach. He's learning. I wanted a younger coach personally. When Emery was being tipped to go, I would have loved to have seen us go for a Julian Nagelsmann or an Erik ten Hag. So Arteta for me wasn't a terrible choice. However, he is new to the job, and it's going to take him time. Moving on to the team news for the weekend. It seems to me that in a way, the not playing on Wednesday has allowed a few more days break. I believe the team will be this. Let me know. I'll start with you afterwards, Ash, if you think there are going to be any changes. I think Leno will obviously start in goal. I think the back four will actually be the same. There's rumours that Tierney and Suarez are fit or in training, but I don't think they're going to be match fit. So I think it will be Saka left back and Socrates will continue at right back. I don't think he's going to go with three at the back. So I think it will be David Luiz and Pablo Mari. I think the pair of them have actually shown that they can take the ball out, which I think is something that Arteta likes. They're naturally right and left footed and they can ping a pass. I think in midfield, we're going to have the two, which will be Xhaka and Ceballos. And I think Mesut Ozil will probably play in that number 10 role because he seems to stick with this formation of 4-2-3-1. And then, of course, we're going to go for Pepe right. I'm going to go Martinelli left this time. And I'm going to go Aubameyang centre forward. I think Laka may just be dropped, and I think Eddie may be dropped likewise. I don't think he did enough against West Ham. Ash, what do you make to the team?
So is Bellerin still not 100%?
Yeah, he's been playing with a groin tear, apparently, Bellerin. So he's not fit.
Yeah, so I think I'd agree with the backline. The midfield, yeah, I would agree with that as well. I think he'll still go with Eddie. I think he'll, because he started with that. I think he'll continue. We won. I don't think he's going to change that. I'd love to see Martinelli, but I just don't think he's going to be in. And I think Pepe. The only thing that may change is if he takes Pepe out and brings in Martinelli for him. I don't think both of them will start.
Okay, Corey.
First of all, I mean, obviously our game was cancelled because of players coming into contact with the Olympiacos owner, and there was talk about self-quarantine. Do we know who these players are?
No, but it will be announced soon, I'm being told.
So that's why I would even like to take a guess on the lineup, because I don't even know, who's eligible and who can play.
Great point.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'd want to know who they are before. But I mean, the team that you said, I don't know. I still think Aubameyang would be on the left, because it seems like he's really determined for him to get used to that position. And either Lacazette or Nketiah up front. I wouldn't be surprised if Pepe was dropped as well, and Nelson was given a start. That wouldn't surprise me either. So the front line is a little bit, I'm not sure. Midfield, Torreira's out. I think it pretty much picks itself. If Xhaka is fit, if Ceballos is fit, if Ozil is fit, then it seems like they play now. So yeah, and same with the backline. Yeah, Saka, because we don't know what the situation with Tierney. Mari could play. I think Luiz and Socrates at right back and Leno in goal. That's what I'll go with.
There's a bit of a theory that once Tierney's back, they'll move Saka forward and then they'll shift Aubameyang.
I hope so.
So essentially have like Saka as the wide left attacker, then have Tierney behind, and then have Aubameyang through the centre.
Is that harsh on Martinelli? Or is it just good competition?
I think it is harsh on Martinelli, because there was a stage where he was really a golden boy. Was doing really, really well. So yeah, sorry, someone just came in.
That's all right.
Like really well. I think for me personally, Martinelli should be getting more minutes at the moment. I don't know if it's a protection thing or, like you said, he's fallen out, but he should be getting more minutes. He should be kind of off the bench. He should be kind of giving us an added impetus. And I think even if he plays from the right, I think he would sometimes do more than what Pepe's done. Now, I'm not a big Pepe kind of like basher or anything like that, but there are certain times I say to myself, well, you're not doing enough. Like, you are not doing enough. So actually, should we just bring someone else, like freshen it up and then kind of go again? When he does deliver, obviously, like for instance, Newcastle, he got the goal, he got the 2 assists. He has it in his locker, but I just don't think he's doing it enough. So I'd maybe give Martinelli a few more minutes, maybe to replace Pepe. That's what I would do.
Fair enough. Mr. Simpson, thank you so much for your kind donation, but you need to give it a rest that you are beating me in Fantasy Premier League. There's still a long way to go, Simpy. There is still a long way to go. I'm in third position and Simpy is see, I'm beating these two boys. So we can talk about it. No, I'm joking. Simpy, thank you so much for your donation, man. And we do need to meet up soon. Listen, boys, I'm going to mention a few players. We have brought them up a couple already, but I think that some of these players, I'm going to try and keep it positive, and then we'll go into some of the negatives in a little while. But first of all, Saka is the definite positive this season. I actually think he's become now consistently good. I think that there was a couple of games where he kind of went on for the under the radar a bit, and the Olympiacos second half, I thought he was fairly poor. And I think the Everton game, was it, or Newcastle? Can't remember what one now. There's been so many games. He kind of went off a bit. But I think overall, consistently, he has been good. This guy, Corey, is he a left winger or a left back?
He's a left winger. Because when we talk about Saka and when we talk about how good he was in this or that game, it's usually because he's got an assist or a goal. It's never about, oh, he had this or that defender in his pocket. A couple of times it's been like that, but mostly it's about what he does going forward. That's when he really catches the eye. So I love a left winger that can defend. I love a left winger that can protect the left back. I love a left winger that can interchange with the left back and drop deep when the left back is bombing forward. So him having that in his locker and being able to defend, it's a great tool. But I want to see what he can do when he has nothing else to worry about apart from bombing down that left wing and creating chances, because he seems very good at his crossing ability is great, and I'm excited about what I saw from Tierney early in the Europa League. The first couple of games that he played, we were like, oh, he looks good. His crossing was really good as well. He was beating his man. So having both of them down the left excites me more so than one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Ash, it's got to be said that Saka's assists already, he's pretty much up there with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he's hardly played as much in comparison. So, man, it's looking good. It is looking good. And if we can get Tierney and Saka, then obviously we've got both of that, and they're dangerous with their crossing ability. Does it make us, though, Ash, a little bit lopsided? Because I'm going to come on to another player in Pepe, because I just feel I would love to see Pepe down the middle, because on the right-hand side, it's so predictable what he's going to do. He's going to cut in on his left foot and everybody knows it.
Yeah.
The other thing with Pepe that frustrates me is another player that I wanted to come on to a little bit later on in Mesut Ozil. I don't think Mesut Ozil and Pepe can play together. You need to play one, not both. Because what Ozil's been doing, and I said this on the last podcast, is he's drifting over to the right, taking the players that are man-marking Ozil out the game normally with him, passing it to Pepe. So Pepe then goes, cheers, mate. Now I've got to get around 3 players. So for me, I'd love to see Pepe down the middle. What do you make of that?
So just going back on the Saka thing, I think it's interesting because you said that we are a bit lopsided, but arguably our greatest ever team was lopsided down our left. Like Perez, Cole and Henry used to do all their damage on the left, and you have like Freddie running in at the last minute to kind of get the tap in. So I don't mind the lopsided formation, because if you've got your best players on one side, that's the best side to actually execute on. So
cool.
I'm not against that. Saka's been excellent. Like, he really has. I know he had that dip, but you kind of expect that with young talents. And remember, he was someone who was playing one position, then moved back to another position, and he's sometimes having to play like as a wing back. He's also played as a left back, and he's played as a left attacker as well. So you can't expect someone that young to be able to play 3 positions so well at such a high level. So I think credit to him. I think speaking about the other 2 players in particular, like, so for me, Pepe, he's not a £72 million player. That's the first thing I need to kind of say. Now, I know we're paying in installments. Like, I know we're going to end up paying this off. It's like a hire purchase for a car. Like, in 5 years' time, that's when we would have paid for him. But even then, he's kind of come in. But he has tools that can actually be really effective. And I think you made a really good point in terms of space and what happens with him. For me, Pepe should be playing higher up the pitch and minimizing his touches. The moment he's too deep and he's trying to run and do that, he's thinking too much. He's one of those players that you give him 2 or 3 touches, and that's when he's actually at his best. The dribbling and stuff, that's fine, but 2 or 3 touches, or when he's in transition and he's on the go, that's when you'll see the best of Pepe. And I think we need to kind of put him in those areas a little bit more. Now, old Mesut Ozil would have just been playing the ball through to him very, very quickly, popping the ball off. I feel like Ozil's trying to carry the ball a bit more than he used to, and I think he's actually just slowing us down. Before, it used to just be like pop, 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 through pass. He's trying to carry the ball. He's not really getting into the same areas with the same kind of like speed, and we're not with the same efficiency. So for me, I don't know what he needs to do to be dropped, if I'm honest. I don't think he's been good enough. But then what he's done is, by playing Ceballos deeper, to me, Ceballos would have been a natural player to have gone into the Ozil role. But now they're not going to kind of do that. And I don't want to see Willock in there as such, not yet, or I wouldn't put Guendouzi there as well. So he almost has to play by default, even though I don't think he's playing particularly well.
Yeah, listen, Corey, I know you're a fan of Pepe, or Pepe's potential, should I say. Corey, what are we going to have to do to get the best out of this £72 million player, mate?
If you just go on YouTube, check his highlights. For last season, in the French league. Yeah, all of this sort of faffing about that he's doing, it's like I said, it's because he's getting the ball too deep, and he's got too much to do when he gets it. So he just come inside. He looks to sort of lay it off and maybe play a 1-2 or something to try and get a bit further up the pitch. But in France last year, it was just making runs in from the right. The ball found him at the right place. Do you know what I mean? He was able to just get into the box, left foot, bang. That's it. It was like real simple, just making runs off the ball. The playmaker found him at the right time, played it in front of him. He got onto it, bang. You know what I mean? His talent. He has got dribbling ability, but he's got finishing ability. He's a set piece specialist. He can put the ball where he wants it. And we're not playing to those strengths at the moment. And he is getting too much to do. And then I think he gets so caught up in it that when he's got one man to beat, you know what I mean? He feels like he has to beat that man 3 times.
5 times, yeah.
Yeah. Before he can lay it off. Do you know what I mean? We need to really just simplify his game. What we need from him is like City need from like Leroy Sané. He's got pace, he's got dribbling ability, he's got finishing ability. Yeah. Everything should just be based on those 3 attributes. And in a way, I think you sort of have to make him your main man. The whole team has to be conscious of what this man can do and look for him in the right positions. Whereas right now he's just another player. No one's thinking that they need to get the best out of Pepe. They're thinking about Aubameyang. They're thinking about who's up top, but they're not thinking about Pepe. But I think we do need to sort of concentrate on him because I do think there's a really wicked player there if we can unleash him. But the coaching and the instructions and the team around him have to be on point.
And sticking with
can I just jump in there?
Yeah, go on, Ash, go on.
Sorry, just to jump in. So I really do agree, and that kind of resonates with me because, again, thinking about some of the players, like I don't want to compare him to say someone like Salah. It's not we can't do that now. But if you notice, there's a lot of stuff where he doesn't come back as far as say Pepe does. So what happens then is as soon as the ball gets up to him, he's active, he's on the go. Like I don't like my wingers, especially if they're going to be goal scoring wingers, to be too far back and doing too much there because what happens then is their energy is expended so that when they get into the final third, they're tired and they make the wrong decisions. If they're higher up the pitch, that's why it's better. And actually, what I think that happens is the reason why it works so well for, say, Liverpool is because their 2 most potent players actually play higher up the pitch. Their central striker drops in and he says, you know what, you 2 stay up the pitch and do your damage. So I do think what Corey's saying makes sense. If you're going to play Aubameyang up there, play Aubameyang high up, Pepe high up, and get a striker who can drop in properly, then it means that they're further up the pitch, they're in a position to do their damage, and a lot of their energy will be in the final third, not all the way back. Because he's coming way too deep, he's beating 3 or 4 man. By the time he gets to the final third, he's tired. It's not good management. It's not good management of him. He needs to be further up the pitch in the areas where when he's doing his dribbling and all that and his feints and all that stuff, he's doing it in the areas that actually make sense and actually hurt opposition.
I said we need to sort of get out of like accommodating Ozil now, because if you look at like Ash used Liverpool as an example, Trent Alexander-Arnold has probably got the most assists for Liverpool. Saka's got the most assists for us. So it goes to show like creativity could come from anywhere on the pitch. And with them, it's just like their midfield works hard. Firmino drops in deep, to be that sort of playmaker, and Mane and Salah are up there ready to hurt the other team when, the occasion arises. And us playing with Ozil and, like you said, him taking too many touches and faffing about on the ball and not even having what he used to have before, where he could spot a pass that nobody else could spot. Defenders, it will bamboozle defenders. He doesn't do that anymore. He's kind of plays a safe ball. Yeah. So it's like, well, what is he doing? He's actually he's slowing down our play. He's actually hurting our attack. Just because we're paying him 350 grand a week, I mean, can't he be late for training? Or can't, make the nows give him a lift to training, because, we need him dropped so we could try something else. We need that creativity to come for something else, somewhere else, and get the best out of the players that have looked dangerous this season, because it's never been Ozil.
See, I agree with you. And Paul Nell makes a good point here. Switch to 4-3-3. Is that something that we can do? Because for me, I believe we should be trying to emulate what Liverpool are doing. And they've got three hard-working midfielders in their midfield to allow the front three to work. And I don't believe that our front three is working, due to kind of selection problems that Arteta don't seem to be playing our right front three, in my opinion. But I think the right front three would still struggle with the midfield. And I think that Ozil needs to be dropped out of this side. That's my personal opinion. I don't believe Ozil works hard enough, and I don't believe that he's even creating enough. And the first time that he's assisted in God knows how long was on Saturday with a header. But until that point, he didn't really do much again. So for me, I'd like to see three hard-working midfielders. Ash, do we have three hard-working midfielders to allow that system to work? Because I'm not sure we do.
No, we don't. I've had a big issue with our central midfield for a while. I just think we don't have the players in there. And again, it's not necessarily about kind of physicality. They don't need to be kind of like tall and be able to kind of run the 100 meters in 11 seconds. Because like we said with Liverpool, they don't necessarily kind of have that. They've just got diligent, hardworking midfielders who kind of know what they do and have enough tactical nous to be able to kind of put something in place. I also think we got to remember that Arteta was a central midfielder. So with him being a central midfielder, he knows kind of what the key cogs are to kind of make a good midfield work. For me personally, I would have to say that, again, I think once we see the kind of the transfer window come in the summer properly, I think that's one of the first areas he's going to try to kind of strengthen. Because, again, once you win the battle in the middle of the park, you tend to kind of win a lot more battles in the game. If you can get control of that area, you kind of have control of the match. City's best player is their central midfielder. Liverpool's isn't, but their midfielders allow for their better players to play. And at the moment, our midfield isn't allowing our main weapons to do well. I think Ceballos does work really, really hard. I think he's willing, and I'm glad he's back in the side. But again, I just feel like what's next to him isn't enough. If we had Torreira kind of snapping into tackles and doing what he does, that's fine. But having Xhaka there, I don't know. And Xhaka actually started to perform really well when Torreira was next to him. So I think Torreira is our big. I actually think Torreira is our most important player at the moment.
So do I, man.
Say Aubameyang because he scores, but actually I think when we need to set the tempo and do stuff, it tends to kind of come from Torreira. I think Aubameyang is our most effective player, but Torreira is actually our most important player.
But he wasn't. Sorry, Dan. He wasn't even getting played before he's got injured. You know what I mean? He was finding himself on the bench a lot. Again, it's another decision that I got a question, Arteta. Like, what's your thinking there? Do you know what I mean? In another podcast, I said, look, against Newcastle, we played Ceballos, Ozil, and Xhaka, and we scored 4 goals, and that's the most goals we've scored under Arteta. So I think he's going to keep going with that, which he has. But at the same time, you're sort of like, when he first came in and Torreira looked like a lot better. And so we're like, yeah, great. You know, this is Xhaka. It was all good. And then out of nowhere, again, he just gets dropped. And then it's like, and we're not finding a rhythm in the team. Like, because, you know what I mean? That part of the pitch has to be settled. It has to be, we have to have consistency there. And he's changed it. And, you know, now we're out of the Europa and it's like, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? And I think just quickly, when we talk about the importance of midfielders, if you look at the impact that Bruno Fernandes has had at Man United, it's like different team, you know, like he's coming and he's just everybody looks better now, you know, and they're just like Fred was looking good before, but Fred looks really good now. Next to Bruno Fernandes. And I think even Pogba might be thinking, you know what, I want to see what I could do in this midfield now. Because and it's just made such a difference, and so that's what we need. We need a guy that can work hard, can play the ball, can spot a pass, can score goals from midfield as well. I'm not going to mention Aaron Ramsey, but you know, Aaron Ramsey. But that ship has sailed. But we need someone like that in the summer, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Listen, I've said all season that our midfield has been a problem, and it was been a problem under Unai Emery, Freddie Ljungberg, and now Arteta, and it still is an issue. And there's one main factor for me, and it's because we've got a player in there who slows it down so much in Granit Xhaka. Now, people can tell me that he can spray a pass, and he's great for the dressing room, and he's the captain everybody wants, all they like. This guy, I've seen enough in 4 years or 5 years, this will be now. He makes the same mistakes every single season, most weeks, 70% of the passes that he misplaced, which was 12, all went to West Ham players. This guy slows the ball down, turns on the ball like Mertesacker used to, and then sprays it sideways or backwards. But like everyone tells me, he has been better under Arteta, granted, but he still isn't the answer, and we still need an upgrade on him. So I want to talk to you, Ash. I'll come to you about Granit Xhaka. What's your thoughts on what we do with this guy? Because he is going to be playing every game under Arteta, it seems.
Yeah, he's. I think you saw the exhale of air. Granit Xhaka is what I call a 180-degree player, in the sense of if the ball is on the left-hand side of his body, anywhere on that 180, so like kind of that side, he's fine. Anything that comes across to his right-hand side, it's a struggle. Like, so whenever he has to kind of like switch out and anything is anywhere close to his right-hand side, you know he's going to mess up. If he's constantly just pinging balls on his left and playing it nicely, he's fine. And I think as a professional football player, the fact that you can only really play off of one side so evidently is a massive problem. He seemed to play better for Switzerland. Like every time I see him for Switzerland, I kind of think to myself like, "Oh right, you're actually not a bad player."
Who's that? Yeah.
But for us, I just think we're so invested. And I think what's a bit hard for him is there's just so much bad blood with him that it's almost impossible for him to really get a fair crack at the whip again. After what's happened, I don't know if any Arsenal fans can really just kind of say we've forgiven him. There's still whatever happens. I was like, but remember, he was the Granit Xhaka that sweared at the fans and kicked off and didn't seem to be that. The fact that we kind of gave him the captain's armband was a complete poison chalice. He should never have got that, but it's just another thing to kind of beat him with. So he has improved. He has been playing better, but he's going to be the same player. And unfortunately, to me, he's not good enough. He hasn't been good enough since he came here, and he still won't be good enough now. Remember, he was £3 million more than N'Golo Kante.
Oh, don't, man.
I
have this debate all the time.
Yeah, and I always go back to that in the sense of we kind of went for something that we didn't know that looked kind of a bit more exotic, but actually we could have just got something that someone who wins you the Premier League. Like N'Golo Kante went to Chelsea and won and helped to win in the Premier League, like got Player of the Year. The season before,
and we spent 24 million pounds more on Mustafi when we could have had Van Dijk from Celtic for 11 million, but that's another story.
Yeah, I mean, our transfer dealings is a whole pod. It's 2 hours. It's a pod, and we need alcohol for that.
Yeah, we do, man. While I brought him up, though, you wanted to talk Mustafi. So go on, talk Mustafi before I come back to Corey about Xhaka.
So, Mustafi, he's been pretty good. Like he has actually been pretty good. I always had a big thing because again, when he first came into the team, him and Koscielny had that partnership where they were unbeaten for like 5 months. I think it wasn't until they went away to Everton and away to Man City where they lost like back-to-back games that they did really, really well. And it's since then that he just kind of completely changed. He has all the tools for a good centre back, but he's just like his cognitive matter just doesn't kind of work. He just switches off for like 5 seconds, and in that 5 seconds he does an absolute madness. Like even like against Chelsea away, it was his mistake that kind of got David Luiz sent off. And what's funny is David Luiz looked at him like, what have you done? What have you done? But then after that, he played really well. But there's always that mistake there, and I think again he's done enough to rebuild his reputation to get himself a good move. He's not going to be with us next season, I don't think. But fair play to him for actually kind of coming back in from the margins and actually still being able to kind of get game time as well. So he's actually probably a symbol of hope for someone like Maitland-Niles or Guendouzi, that actually you can kind of get back into the team and be playing again.
Fair points, I think, mate. Corey, Xhaka and Mustafi, 2 players we need to upgrade of, yes or no?
Hell yeah.
Mate, I have to. I'm hosting, so I have to. You know my answer is the same as you, but I have to ask the question.
Like that with Xhaka, like we talk about how the number 10 role is dead. Yeah, like
100%.
No one uses it anymore. The Xhaka type player for me is dead. Like if you look at a lot of the top teams, they don't have that type of player. Like, back in the day, we would have like a Pirlo and a Xabi Alonso and stuff. A guy whose mobility weren't that great. He weren't the quickest. He weren't the most dynamic. But he could slow the play down, and you know what I mean, he could find a pass, and you know he knew where to be on the pitch and whatnot. Like Xhaka is like a B-Tech version of that, and it's not what we need. Like how we were talking about, we need some like all-action midfielders in our midfield. Xhaka is not good enough at what he does, and he can't give us what we really need. So he can go. Definitely. Mustafi, like I said, he's got himself up to a level now where he's performed consistent enough that he could probably get a move somewhere else, you know, but his future's definitely not with us. I've told you how I feel about the defense already. Like all our central midfielders, I think destroy and rebuild, you know, keep Mari, everybody else can go. Definitely. Like we've already got one guy coming in already, so he can replace someone who's already there.
Saliba.
Spend some money. Yeah, we've got Saliba. Get somebody else and another one, and really just start again. Same with the midfield. We're not going to have Ceballos next year, probably. You know, he's a lonely player. Also, you know, we definitely want rid of him. You know, I can't imagine anybody at the club wants him to stay, even though he's starting. So that's two. That's gone. Xhaka, that's a third. You know, I'm sure he wants to move. I'm sure we want to move him on. Torreira, he's probably going as well. He's probably not happy with being on the bench. So you know what I mean, there's going to be a it's like,
depressing.
There's going to be a lot, but it's going to be an exodus, but I don't see it as depressing. I'm just like, do you know what, I don't mind a fresh start. It's going to be interesting because of where we're going to finish this year. We don't know if we're probably not going to be in the Champions League. Are we going to be in Europa? Are we going to be able to attract the players? Do you know what I mean? So we don't know what kind of caliber of players we're actually going to get. But a good start would be to at least get the type of player that Arteta feels he needs to perform best as manager. And where
it doesn't matter how much it is either, how much he's spending. If he's going to suit us, then just get him. It doesn't matter to me, because Martinelli and Guendouzi were both 6 million, and they've probably been our two better signings over the last two windows.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, the guys that buy the players, they need to do their job. You know, we've got Edu in there, and I've been pretty happy with like the influence that Edu has had. You know, he brought in Martinelli, he brought in Mari. So, you know, they're two promising players. I've got nothing to say about that. Some of the players that we don't like were brought in by Sven, who's no longer with us. You know, he did bring in Aubameyang, but he was also played a big part in what's his name?
Mkhitaryan and Socrates.
Yeah. So even at the time we were sad to lose him, but at the same time it's actually like, well, you know what? Your signings weren't that great. They were.
He also made a great signing in Lichtsteiner as well.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So he's not there anymore. So Edu's going to come in, and now we're going to see, like, you know, what we could do this summer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. Before I go to predictions for the weekend, boys, I just want to come to this one here. And I think this is quite a good shout, really, because it touches on what Corey has kind of just brought, really. This isn't going to happen overnight. This isn't going to all be an exodus in one window, but I think we are going to see a few players leave. Socially outcasted, it says, Dan, why don't everyone say at the end of all the players to go from your own opinions? I'll start, because I do believe that we are going to see some players. Look at these players. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants these players because they're on so much wages. But if you look at the players that I think we're probably going to look to be saying bye to in the summer, I think El Neni, he's still stinking out the place. He's got to go.
Yeah.
Mkhitaryan, we clearly do not want Mkhitaryan. Mustafi, like Ash says, has probably done enough to get a move. Right, Socrates coming to the end of his contract, either sell him or he signs. I think he's going to be sold. Yeah, those are the four players I think that we will get rid of. I don't think it'll be many more than that. Who do I want to see go? Added to that list: David Luiz, Mesut Ozil, Granit Xhaka, Sead Kolasinac. That's just for a start. So that's 8 I've just counted. We're not going to get rid of 8 players in one window. Yeah, we might get rid of those over a period of 3 windows, maybe even 4. But does anyone disagree with those 8 players leaving, or would you cry if any of those 8 players left that I just said?
I'm a big David Luiz fan. I know it sounds crazy, but I do like him. But I think he's better in a free. No, but I think he's better in a free. Like, his best season in the league was in a free. I think if you play a free, I think he's all right. I think as a 2, he's too exposed. He does too many things that are a little bit crazy. Kolasinac, yeah, I'm happy for him to go.
Yeah, man. Someone agrees with me. I get so much abuse for saying that.
Yeah. No, he's a bouncer, man. Like, but I think if Özil goes, he goes. I genuinely think it's that. Like, they're so close. I think the two of them will go together. Like, just piss off in it. Who else is there? This is a bit This is a bit of a controversial one. Anyone who listens to our pod, Lacazette. I'm thinking of all of our assets who can potentially kind of go for decent money. You're looking at Aubameyang can go for decent money. Lacazette can go for decent money. Torreira would go for decent money. Maybe a couple of the kids who have showed promise. Bellerin would have gone for decent money, but since his injury, we're going to struggle. And the keeper, Leno's not going to go. Bellerin's not going to go. We really don't want Aubameyang to go. But I think the one disposable asset that we do have up top is Lacazette, because I actually feel like we said, Nketiah has kind of come in. He started games. We've got Martinelli, we've got Pepe, we've got Aubameyang. Actually, if you could get rid of Lacazette and go and buy, like, say, a really good winger or someone else to kind of go into like a really good number 10, I actually think he's worth getting rid of in order to get better players in other positions.
Okay, I can see where you're going with that one, to be fair. And he has had a strange season, Lacazette. He's a player I do like. I think he works hard, but he has had some problems. Corey, what do you make of players we need to get rid of? Go for it, mate.
I was going to just co-sign you, Dan. I'm going to co-sign you. I can't disagree. And I also agree with Ash in terms of Lacazette. Lacazette is like, he's at his best. He's a good striker, but nothing more than that. He's not a great striker. He's not an elite striker. At best, he's a good striker. What he's been this season is a bang average striker.
Bang average.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that he does. Like, I like it when you can ping the ball into him in the box and he can sort of turn and shoot. But we don't see enough of it. He's like a Callum Wilson level striker. Do you know what I mean? He's so if we could recoup some money for him, I'll be, and it meant that we can reinvest it in other areas of the team, then I would take that. I'm not desperate to hang on to him at all. Even if Aubameyang left, I would still, I still wouldn't mind him going.
Yeah, and can I just jump on that point, because I actually think that's a really important point. In that we bought him to be the main striker. Within 6 months, we had to go and buy Aubameyang. Like that's
great shout.
No, that's quite telling that we had to go and get. Like, don't get me wrong. Aubameyang was great to be available, but we had to kind of go and get him to score his goals. Like, I don't think Lacazette hasn't scored 50 goals for us. He's been here for 3 seasons. He's meant to be like an elite striker, like over 50 million. He's not that. And I especially think that, for instance, if we were to miss out on, say, the Europa League, one of them would go. I'm actually sorry. I want to ask a question to you guys. Would you guys be willing to miss out on all European football to kind of have a complete refresh, to kind of go really hard next year for, say, a Champions League play?
Yeah, how do you know Dan's answer? Go on, Dan.
Oh man, yeah, Ash, I'm spot on with you, bro, and I've been saying it for weeks. And the amount of abuse I've got from people, man, Jesus Christ. I have said for weeks that we need to be out of Europe because this team is not good enough to play 3 games a week. And if we're not finishing 4th, I'll be happy with 9th place. Corey, go.
Yeah. Do you know, without knowing the financial implications, because I don't run the books at Arsenal, but if it meant that we wouldn't suffer financially and we could still make the signings that we want, then yeah, 100%. I don't really want to be in the Europa League from a fan's perspective. I have no interest in the competition. I don't really think it adds a lot, but just from a fan's perspective, I don't know what it means financially. But yeah, listen, 1 game a week. Really knuckle down, concentrate on the league, and see what we can do there. I think is the best way forward.
People are saying that we're going to end up like Leeds or Portsmouth if we go out of the Europa League. Now, financially, we will take a killing, yeah? We're Arsenal. We're not Leeds or Portsmouth. We ain't going to go under. And let me tell you something. The 2 times that closest times that Liverpool, have been close to winning the league, apart from this season, they were out of Europe. Under when Gerrard slipped, when they should have won it that year. Conte took over Chelsea when they were out of Europe. 1 game a week, they walked the league that season. Yeah. And then you look at Leicester this season at how well they've done out of Europe, 1 game a week. I would say
when Leicester
let's
won the
make
league
sure.
as well.
Exactly. Leicester out of Europe when they won the league. That's another one example. So for me, as much as and people are going mental in the chat saying, no, we need Europa League. We do need Europa League. If we are in the Europa League, I would rather play the kids and give the kids a run out the whole way through it, so that we have our best side fit week in, week out. So I'm with you, Ash, 100%.
And the big thing for me is just the Europa League. It's that Thursday night. You're playing random times. I can't think of how many games we've actually had on a Saturday at 3 p.m. I think I can count 2 home games for the whole season at that time, because everything's moving to a Sunday, sometimes a Monday, and then we're traveling again on a Thursday. It's just to me, it's too much. And actually, we're not really benefiting from it. And I do think if we really want to give Arteta his time to kind of embed some of his ideas, we're going to need a lot of time on the training ground. And that's what you get when you only play 1 game a week. Brendan Rodgers has kind of gone in and completely kind of like helped to revolutionise Leicester because of that 1 game a week. You gave all the examples that I would have listed as well. But then again, you do have teams like Wolves who are doing well with that. So it shows that it can be done. But I think for us personally, we need to take a year out from it and just kind of go for it. So I actually thought we should, to some extent, kind of almost be looking to, if we were to go for a bit further in the Europa League, start resting players to try and win it outright. So you go straight into the Champions League. But obviously now we got knocked out by Olympiacos. We don't even have that option available to us.
Listen, I wanted to win the Europa League this season. We can't do that now. I don't believe we're going to get 4th, and I don't believe even if we finish 5th that Man City are going to come out of Europe anyway. So I think that it's going to be, let's just get completely out of the Europa League. No more Thursday, Sunday stuff. The problem with that, Ash, and let me ask you this, because I got abused for saying this so much. People were like, no, Potsy, we need to be in it. We need to be in it.
You got broad shoulders. You can take it.
Oh, man, I can take it. But what I'm saying is the FA Cup. Right, I want to win the FA Cup, of course I do, but that means we're back in Europe. So people were saying, "So you don't want to win the Europa League?" I just do not want to be in the Europa League next season. So it's a great point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You want to win silverware. Like we've loved it, and the FA Cup has probably been our saving grace for the last 16 years. Like it's the only thing we won. So I get it, and I'll never say, "Oh, let's not go into Europe," because to give up a final, give up a place like a winner's medal. But I just think through the league, if you give me the option, then I definitely would prefer to probably finish 9th this season. I'll never say this again, but I wouldn't mind just missing out on Europe. But
I feel like we need to go backwards to go forwards. You know what I mean? Start again, basics.
I think
you
so.
know?
I think so. Yeah, it takes time sometimes. So yeah,
absolutely. Cause anything to add on that, mate? Before we move on?
Yeah, just even when you talked about Ash talked about from the fan perspective, like playing on a Saturday. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think as a football fan, going to games on a Saturday is a bit better than going on a Sunday. Do you know what I mean? Sunday, you got work the next day and stuff. Like Saturday, you can, on another podcast, you talked about the social aspect of football and, everyone meeting up and going to the pub and whatnot. And it's just better on a Saturday. Do you know what I mean? So with the Europa and always having to play on a Sunday, it's I don't know. I don't like it. So even from that perspective, not even from a footballing perspective, just a fan perspective, I think a year out of the Europa League would do everyone some good.
No, man, I think all 3 of us agree on that, and I'm so pleased. Boys, we're going to go into some predictions now. Ash, we'll start with you for the weekend, mate. Hopefully we play. If we do play, what's the score going to be?
So Brighton, in their last, I think, 8 games, have had 6 draws. I think it's going to be a draw, unfortunately. I'd love us to win. Well, kind of. Considering over it, I just said before. But no, I genuinely think it will be a draw. Like a score draw, 1-1.
1-1. Corey?
Again, it does depend on how this whole virus thing has affected the team and, who's going to be playing and whatnot. But if it's a full strength team, I'd say we can nick it 1-0.
No, Corey, you're so optimistic, man. I love it. Every time you come on, you're like, I like to predict the win. I know it's not always going to happen, but hey, I go, I love it, mate. Love it.
Live in hope.
I love it, mate. Do you know what? We haven't beaten Brighton since they've come up, believe it or not. So I'm going to go with Ash and I'm going to say it's going to be a score draw 1-1. I think this is going to be a tough game. I really do. And I think the way they set up we are going to struggle against them. And I'm really not sure what the team is going to be. You know, Corey, you mentioned it earlier. What is going on at the moment with people's health? We still don't know who's in isolation. We have no idea. You can put your money on it being Mesut Ozil, I'm sure. But listen, it's going to be a tough game, and I'm going to go for a 1-1. But listen, I love the optimism, and I hope we win. I want us to win the rest of our games because, you know, fourth is mathematically possible. Fifth, if that is in an option, is mathematically possible. I just don't believe that we're playing well enough at the moment to be confident going into a game like this when Brighton need to win more than Arsenal, because they don't want to be stuck into that relegation battle. So I think it's going to be a tough game, to be fair. Boys, we have overrun, but it's been an absolute pleasure. Ash, thank you so much for coming on, man. Top boy, really appreciate you. Welcome back anytime. How can people listen to you more, mate, on podcasts?
Yeah, so just a big shout out to Cal and Ben, the Beer Rap and Banter team. So we are on Instagram, we're on Spotify, any kind of sites, YouTube, everything. So it's the Beer Rap and Banter podcast, and then the football podcast is called Play On Podcast. So if you search that, you'll kind of find us. And yeah, we're active. We've got one coming out on Monday morning. There's a podcast every Monday morning, either Beer Rap and Banter or Play On Podcast. So yeah, and we're gonna get you guys on. So yeah, Dan, you were meant to come on this week, but we're gonna see what happens with the games, and we'll definitely be getting Corey on as well. So yeah, looking forward to having you guys on with us,
mate. And thank you for coming on this one, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you'll see me soon. I like it.
Man, you're welcome on, you know that. Corey, man, always a pleasure speaking to you, man. Thanks for coming on again, bro.
No worries, man. No worries.
Go and follow Corey on at YG in capitals and Corey. Get his followers up to over 20, please. That'd be great. I'm only joking, man. I'm only joking.
I've only got one. It's you. So yeah, I need 90 more.
No, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, man. Please join the Same Old Arsenal every Monday night, 7:00. And there will be some more Pots previews. Hopefully this game will go ahead and we will see an Arsenal victory. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Over 150 of you watching live. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you for supporting us. And we will see you very, very soon. Until then, up the Arsenal, boys.